morning, sir.
Good morning.
I believe when we left off yesterday, we were discussing the efforts to arrest or take Mr. Murphy into custody on the homicide warrant on July 30th.
Okay.
So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what actually occurs upon Mr. Murphy exiting the apartment. Does he ultimately, around just after midnight, come out of the apartment?
And I'm sorry, Ms. Ismer, just because we have two Mr. Murphys, just for the record, if you would make sure you state a first name so it's clear who you're talking about.
Yes, Your Honor. Does Rashad Murphy on July 30th of 2024 come out of the apartment after midnight?
Yes.
Had at that point the efforts to remove him from the apartment been ongoing since about 5 o'clock or there before?
Yes, ma'am.
Upon exiting the apartment, is Rashad Murphy taken into custody by SWAT and then ultimately transferred to Jacksonville Sheriff's Detectives custody?
Yes.
And would that have been yourself?
Detectives within the gang unit.
Ultimately, is he transported to an area where he can be interviewed?
Yes, ma'am.
And who conducts that interview?
Myself and Detective Craig Griffin.
Is the interview room a location which is video and audio recorded?
Yes.
And did the video and audio recording capture your contacts with Rashad Murphy in the early morning hours of July 30th of 2024?
Yes, it did.
Did you ultimately, at the conclusion of your interview, provide that video and audio recorded interview to the detectives in Tampa?
Yes.
Is that regular practice or procedure to provide the interview even though it did not occur in Hillsborough County?
Of course.
And did that, or was that interview ultimately given to Detective Ramos, the lead detective in this case?
That's who I provided it to.
Have you had an opportunity to thoroughly review the contents of that interview?
Yes, ma'am.
And approximately how long, when you were actually in the room with Rashad Murphy, did the interview last?
Between an hour and a half to 2 hours.
At the beginning of that interview itself, did you have an opportunity to read Mr. Rashad Murphy's Miranda warnings to him?
I did read him his constitutional rights prior to speaking with him in reference to this incident.
Is there a form that you also utilize after reading Miranda to a subject you're going to interview?
The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has a form that contains the constitutional rights along with identifying information like your name and date of birth. So we'll read the constitutional rights each time from the same form.
Did that same practice occur with Rashad Murphy prior to his interview?
Yes,
Did he sign that form?
he did.
Prior to you actually entering that interview room, had you had an opportunity through investigative means to observe Rashad Murphy writing on a video of some kind before
Yes.
that interview?
Yes.
When you entered the interview room, did you know which dominant hand was utilized by Rashad Murphy in the video that you had observed from that prior video?
In the prior video, which occurred sometime
Objection, Your Honor.
before,
Can we approach?
Yeah.
In that prior video?
in that prior video, which occurred prior to my interview with him, in that video, I observed Rashad Murphy writing on a form with his left hand.
Now, on the date of your formal interview, when you asked him to sign the consent form you've already described for us, what hand did he utilize?
He attempted to use his right hand.
Did you observe his attempts to use his right hand?
Yes.
And was the writing that he was attempting to utilize, was it legible?
Not at all.
At some time during the course of your interview, strike that, I apologize. Did you inquire with Mr. Murphy about whether he was right-handed or left-handed?
In that moment, I did not. However, it was so apparent to me in the moment that he was struggling and having a hard time that I asked him if he was okay. And he asked me to hold the piece of paper so he could try and write it, try writing on the form, which I thought was strange, but it didn't occur to me later what he was attempting to do.
And had you...
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for an opinion.
Sustain as to the last comment.
Had you had an opportunity to review the surveillance footage that had been obtained from the night or early morning hours of the homicide from a Tesla vehicle?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, the state seeks to publish what's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit number 59. Sir, can you see the image that's depicted here on the screen?
Yes.
And was this a still from the Tesla video, or one of the stills from the Tesla videos that you had an opportunity to observe?
Yes.
In reviewing that video, could you determine anything about the individual depicted to the right of this image?
The person holding the pistol is holding it with his left hand.
Is that why you made inquiries of Mr. Murphy regarding his, I guess, primary or dominant hand?
Yes.
Had you observed additional photographs of the defendant Rashad Murphy from the Tesla camera as well on his return to the vehicle, states 59E?
Yes.
And again, this the individual that possessed, at least based on your review of the evidence in the case, the 9mm firearm with an extended magazine?
Yes.
Lastly, 59G, as that individual again approached closer to the Tesla, is the firearm that you previously mentioned also still depicted in the same left hand?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek the court's instruction on Mr. Rashad Murphy's interview.
Okay, very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, statements made by defendant Rashad Murphy after the crime was committed to law enforcement officers are admissible only against the defendant Rashad Murphy, who made the statement. The statement is not admissible evidence against any of the co-defendants and should not be considered against any of the remaining co-defendants. Okay?
Sir, you previously indicated that you read Mr. Murphy his Miranda rights, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you also have an opportunity to confirm that he understood those rights during the course of your interview?
Yes.
Did he indicate that he did understand those rights?
He did.
Did he wish to give a statement at that time?
Yes.
In speaking to him specifically about the Tampa investigation, did you ask him about how he acquired the silver Chevy Cruze on the weekend of June 22nd of 2024?
Yes.
Did he identify the individual from whom he obtained that vehicle?
He did.
And who did he identify as the person he got that vehicle from?
He described it as the mother of the children to his brother. Her name is Jasmine Glennon.
When you asked him about whether Miss Glennon was aware of his reason for obtaining that vehicle, did he indicate to you whether he told her the truth about why he was obtaining the vehicle or not?
Ask that again.
Did he tell Miss Glennon the reason he was obtaining the vehicle, the silver Chevy Cruze, for the weekend?
I believe he told her he needed to go down to Orlando.
At any point during the course of the investigation, did Mr. Rashad Murphy advise that he was lying to Miss Glennon about his reason for borrowing the car?
Yes.
And did you later determine that Miss Glennon would have been the registered owner of that silver Chevy Cruze?
She was.
Did you inquire with Mr. Murphy, at least in the very beginning of your interview, about when he had that Chevy Cruze and when he had taken possession of it prior to his arrest in Gwinnett County on June 26th after the murder?
Yes.
Had he indicated whether he had that vehicle for the weekend of June 22nd?
He advised he allowed someone to borrow that vehicle during that time period.
How was the defendant able to identify specifically the weekend that you were talking about, because it was a month earlier at the time your interview was conducted?
One of Rashad Murphy's children, their birthday is on June 23rd, which is also the same day of this incident. So we used that as a point of reference for that weekend.
Preliminarily, when you spoke to Mr. Murphy at the first part of your interview, did he indicate that he had the car himself all weekend?
No.
Throughout the course of your interview with Mr. Murphy, did he admit to reviewing some news or media related to the case itself prior to his arrest?
Yes. The Tampa Police Department had a press conference in reference to this investigation at the conclusion of the arrest of the 3 other defendants, and that was all over the news.
And that would have been in the days leading up to Rashad Murphy's arrest?
Yes.
Did Rashad Murphy also indicate to you that he had read through the probable cause of a search warrant that was executed on the vehicle he was arrested in?
Yes.
Did he discuss with you that he knew some facts that surrounded the case or surrounded why he would be arrested?
He insinuated he had knowledge in reference to that, yes.
In the first version of the events of that weekend that you asked Mr. Murphy about, did you ask him directly whether he had booked an Airbnb in his name?
I did.
Did Mr. Murphy initially deny that?
Yes.
Did he also deny allowing anyone else to book an Airbnb in his name?
Yes.
As you go on with your interview, or at some point during the course of your interview, with the denials that come from defendant Rashad Murphy, do you slowly start to reveal some information that's come to light throughout the course of the investigation?
Yes. The beginning of the interview I would describe was me offering Mr. Rashad Murphy an opportunity to share his side of the story truthfully. Once I afforded him that opportunity, I began to share actual facts in reference to this, which began to pivot some of his story.
I want to start with the first revelation, if that's what we can call it, okay? So after the denials of having possessed the silver Chevy Cruze, and did you ask if he was in Tampa?
I asked him if he was in Tampa multiple times.
And he initially denies that.
Multiple times.
Now, do you first reveal that there is cell phone evidence that was retrieved from the arrest on June 26th, which includes a message of Mr. Rashad Murphy booking an Airbnb?
Yes, I do share with him in reference to the message about the Airbnb.
Do you then obtain a subsequent version of events from Rashad Murphy about what happened that weekend, now taking that information that you've revealed into consideration?
At that point, when I provided him that information about the text message and Airbnb and it being addressed to him, Mr. Rashad Murphy says that he provided someone a picture of his ID to book the Airbnb.
Did he also give any indication about having provided someone with a vehicle?
Yes, he told me that he allowed someone to borrow the silver Chevrolet Cruze.
But still, he was not, in this version, not in Tampa.
Correct.
Do you, throughout the course of the investigation, continue to ask whether the defendant was in Tampa?
I asked him if he was in Tampa, if he had ever been to Tampa at all, ever. I asked it in a variety of ways, but he continued to say no for a period of time.
Did you ask the defendant whether he was physically present in Tampa ever?
Yes.
Did he initially give you one response to that question?
His initial response to me asking if he had ever physically been in Tampa, his response to that was no.
At the end of the interview, does he ultimately admit that he had, in fact, been to Tampa before?
Yes. He couldn't recall when that time frame was.
So after these denials, it is just that he gave the vehicle and his Airbnb information and his IDs to another individual. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you reveal additional evidence after his denial of being in Tampa that actually puts him in Tampa from the TPD investigation with the Uber driver?
I do.
And what's that information?
Once we got to a point in the interview that I felt he wasn't going to share with me that he had ever been in Tampa, it was at that point I shared with him that there was an Uber ride that existed where he occupied an Uber that traveled from Tampa back to Jacksonville on June 23rd.
Now, when you provided this information about an Uber and him having been identified in that circumstance back to Jacksonville, did he still deny that that was him or deny the identification?
Yes, he challenged that fact with by asking me, how does that mean I was in Tampa?
Did you also then reveal that Mr. Murphy had been captured on Sean Gathright's residential Vivint camera returning in the Uber?
Judge, we're going to object to the continuing nature of the leading by the state and testifying.
Overruled.
At that point in the interview, I then share with Rashad Murphy that there is video surveillance at Sean Gathright's home that shows Rashad Murphy, Isaiah Chance, and Alicia Andrews exiting an Uber vehicle and with bags and walking up to Sean Gathright's house.
When you revealed this information to him, did you actually show any kind of video footage or anything like that?
No.
When you advised him if this information was true, what does that say about your version of events? Did he respond?
Yes, he said, because I asked Rashad Murphy, how does this reflect your prior statements to me at this point in the interview? And he said that contradicts everything I told you and makes me look like a liar.
When you spoke to him or asked him again about the Uber, did he initially recall getting in an Uber?
No.
Did he ultimately admit to getting in an Uber?
Yes.
Did he ultimately admit to riding in that Uber?
Yes.
And where did he ride in that Uber from?
From Tampa.
Did you, at some point, exit the interview room with Detective Griffin?
Yes.
What was the purpose, at least at this point in the interview, of you exiting at this particular time?
I wanted to provide Rashad Murphy a moment by himself in the interview room after I had shared the video surveillance facts. So I allowed him to just sit by himself and think about what I shared with him for a few moments prior to returning.
Is that a strategy that you employ as a detective during the course of your interviews, or is that something that you're also trained to do?
I do it occasionally.
In this particular case, did you actually re-enter the interview room with Rashad Murphy?
Yes.
And when you re-entered that time, is that the only break you took, where you exited?
Yes.
When you re-entered the interview room with Detective Griffin, was there a new version of the events of what occurred on the weekend of June 23rd going into June 22nd going into June 23rd?
Yes.
Did you directly ask Rashad Murphy whether he was in Tampa on June 22nd or June 23rd?
Yes.
What was Rashad Murphy's response to having been in Tampa that weekend?
So I entered back into the interview room, and upon entering, that's the first question I asked him. I asked him if he was going to be truthful about being in Tampa during that weekend. He responds by providing a news story that he had not shared over the course of the past hour and a half during the interview.
Did he, in that news story, provide a new character as well, or a new individual?
Yes.
And who is that?
He identified himself as traveling to Tampa on June 23rd with a person named Darius Beals.
Did he identify that person by legal name, or was there a nickname that was utilized in the interview?
He initially identified him as Fizzle, which is Darius's nickname.
And did you inquire about the legal name of that individual?
Yes.
Did he provide the name Darius Beals to you?
Yes, he did.
At the time that Charles Jones was killed, was Darius Beals, a.k.a. Fizzle, living?
When Charles Jones was killed on June 23rd, at that point, Darius Beals was still living, yes.
At the time of your interview on July 30th of 2024, do you know whether Fizzle or Darius Beals was still alive?
At this point, on July 30th, when I interviewed Rashad Murphy, Darius Beals was deceased.
And are you familiar with the individual named Darius Beals?
I am, yes.
When he advised that he came to Tampa with Darius Beals, did he advise where they came from?
Ask that again?
Did he say where they came from when he told you he came to Tampa with Fizzle?
I believe he said they traveled to Tampa from Jacksonville.
Did you ask him specifically for a time that they would have arrived, or a date that they would have arrived to Tampa?
Yes.
And what was the response to that question?
He advised that himself and Fizzle, Darius Beals, traveled to Tampa on June 23rd in the early mornings, afternoon hours.
Do you remember the specific time that the defendant gave you that he would have come to or arrived in Tampa with Darius Beals?
Is it okay if I reference my report?
Would it refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Take a look at the report. Once your memory is refreshed, then please look up and answer the question.
Okay, my memory's refreshed.
Did he give a specific time frame for when Rashad Murphy himself and Darius Beals actually traveled to Tampa?
He indicates it was between 5 or 6 a.m.
On June 23rd.
Yes.
And the homicide of Charles Jones, do you know what time that occurred?
I know it was in the early morning hours, between 4 or 5 in the morning.
So the statement from Rashad Murphy was that he arrived to Tampa between 5 a.m. and
6 a.m. Travel to.
do you know what time Mr. Murphy would have then arrived at the Airbnb in Jacksonville?
With that estimation, it would be approximately 3.5 hour drive.
Is that your estimation that you're giving us today?
Based on my travels from Jacksonville to Tampa, yes.
Upon arriving to the address or the location of the Airbnb, did Rashad Murphy tell you what he did?
Yes.
What is it that he did?
He said he went to the rear of the door at this Airbnb, knocked on it, and learned that no one was inside and that the people occupying this Airbnb were leaving upon his recent arrival, and they were leaving in the Uber.
Did, prior to saying he knocked on that door, he also indicate he went through the door to check out the Airbnb?
Yes.
And did you confront him with whether he was captured on the Ring camera at the front door of the Airbnb?
I believe I inquired about that, and he said he wouldn't have been on the video because he went to the rear door.
So the statement from Rashad Murphy was that he went through the door and checked out the Airbnb, and then that he went to the door and knocked on the Airbnb, and no one answered.
To the rear door, and no one answered.
What did he do after that in the early morning hours of the 23rd?
Once he realized no one was inside the Airbnb, he went and made contact with people that were occupying an Uber that was traveling back to Jacksonville from Tampa.
So the statement was that upon arriving around 8 a.m. or something, the Uber driver was there and the Airbnb occupants were getting in the Uber.
Correct.
After Rashad Murphy advises that, did you confront him with receipts of when the Uber driver actually arrived to the Airbnb? Not physical receipts, but did you tell him when the Uber driver arrived to the Airbnb?
No, I don't believe I shared that with him.
Had you indicated that, would the video recording or a transcript of that video have been a more accurate depiction of what that communication was?
Yes.
So this version of events that was provided was that after the defendant's arrival to the Airbnb, the occupants of the Airbnb were already outside.
Yes.
When you were discussing the Uber vehicle itself, did Rashad Murphy describe that vehicle to you?
He kept calling it a black truck.
Did you ultimately confirm that it was, or did you discuss that with him in some way?
No, he kept saying black truck, and I think at one point I said, do you mean a black SUV?
But he did confirm that he entered that Uber vehicle.
Yes.
Did you confront him about his having traveled there just in those morning hours and then immediately traveled back to Jacksonville?
Correct.
And what was his response to that?
He continued to deny this Uber ride and how he was able to arrive to Sean Gathright's house in the Uber ride. But ultimately, he does admit that he rode in the Uber from Tampa back to Jacksonville.
Did you inquire with him about whether they stopped in utilizing that Uber for food or gas?
I asked that. I don't believe he provided a response to it.
When you were interviewing Rashad Murphy specifically about his time in Tampa, did you directly ask him whether he possessed a phone?
I did ask that.
What was Mr. Rashad Murphy's initial response to your inquiry about whether he had a phone with him in the early morning hours of June 23rd?
He initially says he has a cell phone on him.
Did he attempt to give you a phone number?
once he provided me that answer, I inquired about the phone number for that phone.
And did that statement change as well?
When I asked him for the phone number for the phone, he attempted to provide some numbers. It wasn't a full phone number. And then he responds that he didn't have a phone.
Did Rashad Murphy ever claim to be using someone else's phone?
He also says, once he tells me he didn't have a phone, he then says that he was using the cell phone belonging to Darius Beals.
Throughout the course of your interview with Rashad Murphy, did you confront him about whether he knows Charles Jones, a.k.a. Julio Foolio?
I asked him if he knew him, yes.
What was Mr. Rashad Murphy's response to that?
He said he knew of him, but didn't know him personally and had never seen him before.
And did you inquire of Rashad Murphy about whether he knew an individual by the name of Sean Gathright?
I did ask that, yes.
Did you inquire as to how well they knew each other?
I did.
And what was Mr. Murphy's response about whether they had been in contact before?
He said he knew Sean. He addressed him as Sean. That's what he knew him as, and that he knew him through another individual, but he describes his relationship with Sean as more of like acquaintances, that he had met him a few times.
Other than the return from Tampa on the Vivint camera, did you discuss with Rashad Murphy about whether he had been on that camera or to that residence before?
Yes. Rashad Murphy tells me that he had been to Sean Gathright's home several times.
How about Isaiah Chance? Did he admit to knowing an individual by the name of Isaiah Chance?
He did confirm he knew who Isaiah Chance was.
And did he admit to the nature of that relationship?
Yes, he said he had hung around Isaiah a few times and described him as good people.
How about Davion Murphy?
Described Davion Murphy as family, his cousin.
At some point during the interview, when speaking with Rashad Murphy about the death of Charles Jones or Julio Foolio, does he also mention an individual by the name of Joe Rod or Gerard?
Yes.
And who is that individual to Rashad Murphy?
Gerard Adams is a cousin to Rashad Murphy, went by the nickname Spaz.
Did Rashad Murphy also mention Spin Up Benz during the course of his interview?
Yes.
What was the nature or the context of him referencing Spin Up Benz?
We were discussing drill rap music in Jacksonville, and Rashad Murphy was expressing that he did not appreciate the lyrical the bad lyrics within this Jacksonville drill rap, and he expressed to Spin Up Benz, that he shouldn't be making that type of music.
Are you familiar with who Spin Up Benz is?
Yes.
Do you know the legal name of Spin Up Benz?
His name is Noah Williams.
And lastly, did you confront Mr. Rashad Murphy about J. Breezy?
Yes.
Did you speak with him about how J. would have been relevant to the investigation?
Briefly, yes.
And what was his response, if anything, to the link to J. Breezy?
I don't recall what his response to that was.
Did you make any inquiries to Rashad Murphy about the payments that were made for securing the Airbnb on Gazebo Pond Lane?
Yes.
And was that in reference to a J. Breezy?
I was made aware at some point that it was, yes.
Do you know the identity of J. Breezy?
I do, yes.
What's his legal name?
Jacory Rivers.
May I have one moment?
Yes.
Sir, at the conclusion of your interview with Rashad Murphy, was he placed under arrest or taken into custody and transported to the jail for his homicide warrant?
Yes.
Did you notify Detective Ramos about the contents of the interview that had been provided by Rashad Murphy?
I did. I supplied it to Tampa and Detective Juan Ramos.
Ultimately, after July 30th of 2024, do you have 4 of the 5 subjects that have arrest warrants for this homicide in custody?
Yes.
What do you then do as it relates to the 5th subject from July on?
Myself and other detectives within the gang unit continued our efforts to locate and apprehend Davion Murphy in reference to his active arrest warrant for this incident.
Before I have you talk to me about the efforts that you took during the course of the interview with Rashad Murphy, did you have a sufficient opportunity to see his face? Rashad Murphy. I apologize.
Ask that again, I'm sorry.
Did you have an opportunity to see Rashad Murphy's face during the course of your interview with him in Jacksonville?
Yes.
Would you be able to identify the individual that you know to be Rashad Murphy today?
Yes.
Can you do so?
Yes, he is sitting at a table that's positioned to my right with his defense counsel, and Mr. Rashad Murphy's wearing a gray jacket with a dark-colored button-down shirt underneath.
May the record so reflect.
The record shall so reflect.
I apologize. So you took some efforts to locate or execute the final arrest warrant in this case on Davion Murphy.
Yes, ma'am.
What are those efforts that you took?
We followed up on leads. There would be some leads that people would call in anonymously, so we'd follow up on that. We would conduct surveillance at known family members' houses on occasion in search of Davion Murphy and other apprehension efforts to locate him, but those were all unsuccessful.
When you say the location efforts, you go to multiple places?
Yes,
Do you go to multiple residences?
yes.
Is it just you that's looking for Davion Murphy at this time?
No.
Were there any press conferences asking for assistance in this search as well from the public?
I know once the first 3 defendants, Alicia, Isaiah, and Sean, were arrested, there was a press conference in reference to the 2 outstanding people, Rashad and Davion. That was early in July, though. I believe that was the only press conference that I remember.
How about news or media outlets writing stories or putting out stories? Had you seen those that Davion was still outstanding?
Yes,
Was that something that was happening in Jacksonville?
yes.
Ultimately, was Davion Murphy arrested?
Yes, he was.
Do you recall the date of that arrest?
I believe it was January 6th of 2025.
What were the circumstances of that arrest?
Davion Murphy was located inside of an apartment inside of Jacksonville. Our SWAT team responded to that apartment complex and ultimately took Davion Murphy into custody at that location.
Where would he have been transported after he was taken into custody?
He was transported to downtown to our interview room.
Is that interview room, also video and audio recorded?
Yes, it is.
And do you recall how long the interview that you conducted with Davion Murphy took?
I would estimate it was approximately 2 hours.
Just as we discussed with the earlier interview, did you provide that interview at its conclusion to detectives here in Tampa?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have an opportunity to actually sit in on the interview of Davion Murphy?
I did.
And did you read him any warnings in advance of that interview?
Prior to beginning the interview, which is common practice, I read Davion Murphy his constitutional rights prior to asking him questions about this incident.
Who was present with you during the course of his interview?
During the interview with Davion Murphy, Detective Richard Nieder sat in on the interview with me.
Now, when you have another detective sitting on the interviews, I think you said Griffin sat in on the last one and Nieder sat in. Are there rules to who gets to talk, or explain to us why there would be one leading detective?
There's not rules necessarily. However, there usually is an appointed lead person asking questions, so the two detectives aren't speaking over each other.
It just happens to be you for Rashad Murphy's interview and now Davion Murphy's interview.
Yes,
And did Davion Murphy elect to give a statement to yourself and Detective Nieder?
he did.
Is that interview conducted in a different location than the interview of Rashad Murphy?
No, that was conducted at the same building.
During the course of the interview with Davion Murphy, when you exit the interview room, is there something that you do or is regular practice in Jacksonville with the audio in the rooms?
There is equipment for us to turn on music into these interview rooms, so the persons that are inside the interview rooms can't hear between the thin walls what's going on outside.
Okay, so there's something about the building itself that you turn the music on?
Yes,
Are you and the other detectives outside of that interview room discussing the case, or what are you doing?
that's what we usually do, yes.
And when you have a subject that's in an interview room and you are outside of that interview room, is it regular practice that you want them to hear what you're saying or do not want them to hear what you're saying?
You would prefer them not to hear what you're saying?
Throughout the course of the interview with Davion Murphy, did you play the audio or whatever it was that you were mentioning after you would exit the room?
Yes,
So will we hear or see that on an interview with Mr. Davion Murphy audio when you leave the room?
correct.
Is there any specific preference or choice or rhyme or reason to what you play?
No, it's preset to some radio station. It's just, it usually just plays like old hits music.
And when you re-enter the interview room, do you turn that music off, radio station off?
Yeah, so then upon entering back into the interview room, the music would be turned off.
Do you have an opportunity to see into the interview room or observe what's happening inside of that room from a video feed of some kind?
We have a remote viewing spot in this same building where we can watch what's occurring in the interview room, despite us not physically being in there.
And was that the same when Davion Murphy was interviewed by your agency on January 6th of 2026?
Yes,
What was the version, well, before the interview actually even formally starts, are you able to observe Davion Murphy inside of the interview room?
yes,
What, if anything, is he doing?
singing,
Okay. Are you able to understand or hear him singing?
I can hear him, yes,
Are there times where he's not singing, he's just talking?
yes,
Is there anyone else present in the interview room with him?
no,
Is there anyone making an inquiry of him at that time?
no,
Who is he talking to?
himself,
Are you able to see these events occurring before the formal interview even starts?
yes,
As, throughout the course of your interview with Davion Murphy, you exit the interview room, are you still able to see what's happening inside?
correct,
And are there also additional times where he's talking to himself?
yes.
What is the, I guess, version of events that you received from Davion Murphy?
Judge, we're going to object and renew our previous objections to this testimony.
Very good. Same ruling, you may proceed.
Prior to responding to that question, Your Honor, may I seek the instruction for Davion Murphy?
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, again, statements made by defendant Davion Murphy after the offense occurred. Statements made to law enforcement are admissible only against defendant Davion Murphy. That statement is not admissible evidence against any of the co-defendants. It should not be considered against any of the related co-defendants.
Sir, before briefly discussing the contents, have you had an opportunity to observe Davion Murphy in a position where you could identify him today?
I can, yes.
Do you see him here in this courtroom?
I do.
Would you have an opportunity to please identify him and name an article of clothing he's wearing?
Thank you. He's sitting positioned to my right at a table with his defense counsel, and Mr. Davion Murphy's wearing a black jacket with a white button-down shirt that has stripes on it.
Is that the
On it.
standing individual at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, if the record shall so reflect. And had you also, especially in your search for Mr. Murphy, had an opportunity to review the driver's license photo of Davion Murphy as well as the footage from the McDonald's?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to introduce State's Exhibit 117,
Okay?
38, A, and B, completing that exhibit.
Okay.
What? 118.
Is this the,
It's
interview?
on a jump drive because it's too big for a disk, so that's why it's in that kind of folder.
Okay. It's already been reduced, all right, this is what the interview.
No, these have not been admitted.
I thought that one of the McDonald's. had been-
Yes, the video from McDonald's, yeah. This is
No objection, Your Honor.
And your Honor, 116A through F.
No objection, Your Honor.
And any objection? Admitted.
Sir, have you had an opportunity to review the entirety of that video and audio recorded interview?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask you a few specifics about the contents of that video, if I may.
Yeah.
In your observations of the defendant in the interview room before you entered the room, did Davion Murphy make any references to a Sean's green ass?
Yes.
What was the statement from Davion Murphy at that point?
I don't remember the specific quotes, but that was the context of it.
Okay, what was he talking about?
At the beginning of the interview?
Yes. Before you entered the interview room.
I remember a portion during the interview. I don't recall specifically prior to me entering.
Okay. Before your formal interview of Davion Murphy, before he's captured, was there media or news coverage about the interview of Sean Gathright?
Yes.
Was there any reference to Mr. Gathright's presence and attempt to leave the interview?
Yes, there was a.
Yep. Want to approach? Yeah.
Sir, prior to the start of your formal interview with Davion Murphy, is there a time where, in speaking to himself, he indicates that Sean did something during the course of his interview while looking at the ceiling? Without
Yes.
telling me what that was.
Yes.
During the course of your interview, actually, the content of your interview, when you enter the room, you start talking to Davion Murphy, does he deny knowing Sean Gathright?
At one point, yes.
Ultimately, at the conclusion, though, of your interview, does he admit knowing Sean Gathright?
Yes.
Does the defendant, Davion Murphy, indicate to you that he was present in Tampa on the evening of June 22nd?
Judge, we're going to object again to the leading nature of the questions.
Has been some lead, but that's not one of them, so just keep in mind, this is where please don't leave, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Answer.
What was Mr. Davion Murphy's statement about his location on June 23rd, or June 22nd, excuse me?
Says in Orlando, Florida.
Did you make any inquiry about his presence in Tampa?
I did.
And what was his statement about his presence in Tampa?
I began the interview by showing Davion Murphy a video from the Airbnb Ring doorbell camera. It's a video of himself. I asked him if he recognized that person. He initially said he doesn't recognize that person, and then ultimately, when I show him the video the second time, he says, yes, that's me. So he's identifying himself at the Airbnb in Tampa via the Ring doorbell camera. Ultimately, we get to a point where I'm asking him how he got down there, what was his business down there, and he shares with me that on June 23rd, he obtained a ride from a person he knows as Brandon, and traveled from Orlando to Tampa on that day on June 23rd in the afternoon hours.
Did he specify on the afternoon of June 23rd around what time he got to Tampa?
I believe he says he leaves Orlando around 11 or noon and then arrived to Tampa around 2 p.m.
Did you inquire of him what his purpose of being in Tampa was for?
Yes.
Was he meeting an individual in Tampa?
He explained that he was going down to Tampa to meet a person he knew as Fizzle and other people.
And is Fizzle able to be identified through the course of your interview?
Yes.
Is that the same Fizzle that was referenced in your earlier interviews?
Yes, it's Darius Beals.
Is that the same individual who was no longer alive on July 30th of 2024?
Correct.
He indicated that he was traveling to Tampa to meet Fizzle and other people.
Yes.
At the time that Fizzle died, were you able to review some records associated to that individual, Darius Beals?
Eventually, yes.
By the time you actually conduct the interview of Davion Murphy, had you had an opportunity to review the cell phone records of Darius Beals?
Yes.
Had you obtained those cell phone records from another law enforcement agency?
Yes.
What agency was that?
I obtained cell phone downloads belonging to Darius Beals from an agency in Florida, in Clay County. It was the Clay County Sheriff's Office.
Do we object that's hearsay as to what those records may or may not have reflected?
Overruled.
Did you, once you received the cell phone extraction there, have an opportunity to review the contents of that cell phone extraction?
Yes.
Had you obtained that cell phone extraction after your initial interview with Rashad Murphy?
I obtained that extraction after Rashad Murphy, but before Davion Murphy's interview.
As an investigator with the Sheriff's Office, is your role to not only interview subjects, but also evaluate their statements?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of you actually obtaining the Beals cell phone extraction, Fizzle's cell phone extraction?
After communicating the summary of Rashad Murphy's interview with the Tampa Police Department, I shared with him that the person he indicates that he traveled to Tampa with from Jacksonville was Darius Beals, who had been was deceased on June 28th of 2024. And I was aware that the Clay County Sheriff's Office obtained 2 cell phone downloads from Darius Beals during their investigation, and so I traveled down there and obtained those downloads to further analyze his pattern of life through his cell phone to confirm what Rashad Murphy provided during his interview.
Had you had an opportunity to review the files that were provided to you?
Yes.
Was there data in those files to reflect Darius Beals' device location?
Judge, same objection. The best evidence are the extractions themselves, not the detective's testimony.
At this point, she's asked if the data reflected it, so overruled as to that specific question.
Did the data reflect the cell phone location of Darius Beals' device on the weekend of Charles Jones's murder?
Yes.
Were you also able to review the contents of that device and make an extraction report from that device for the media content?
Yes.
Based on your review of that cell phone data, were you able to prove or disprove that Darius Beals was in Orlando on June 23rd or 22nd, 23rd, or 24th of 2024?
Based on my review of those downloads, he was not in Orlando or Tampa on those dates.
Did you have an opportunity to review that extraction to confirm whether Darius Beals had traveled at any point from the 22nd, 23rd, or 24th from Jacksonville to Tampa?
I reviewed that. That did not occur.
Did you provide the actual device extractions as well as a part of this investigation to Tampa Police Department, Detective Ramos?
I did provide those downloads to Detective Ramos.
And did you personally have an opportunity to review the photos contained on that device from that extraction during the time frames mentioned, the 22nd through the 23rd?
I reviewed
24th?
I reviewed a lot of the media files contained on those devices specifically during that time frame.
Now, Davion Murphy's version of events are that Fizzle is actually in Tampa, is that what you said?
Yes,
And that he's coming here for what purpose? To meet him?
to meet him and other people.
And on that afternoon that he indicated that he was present, did he provide what he did the night before? Was he in Tampa or not?
Davion Murphy was
Correct.
he was not in Tampa the night prior.
Did you inquire of him when he got to Tampa and whether that was exclusively the only time he'd been here?
I did ask that, and he said that he traveled from Orlando to Tampa on the 23rd during the afternoon hours.
Did you have an opportunity to speak with him about subsequent evidence that was obtained in this case from a McDonald's?
Yes, I shared with him that there was a video of him at a drive-through at a McDonald's.
Did you actually show him the footage from the McDonald's?
I was unable to at that point in the interview. I didn't have access to the video.
Had you already seen it, though?
I had previously seen it.
Did you attempt to speak to him about where he was from?
Yes,
Did you specifically inquire from Davion Murphy whether he was from out east?
I did.
What was his response to that inquiry?
He said he didn't know where that was.
At a later point in your interview, does Davion Murphy directly make reference to out east?
Yeah, he references an annual event that occurs in the Out East neighborhood. It's called the Out East Reunion. And I believe he was using that as a point of reference of when he returned to Jacksonville ultimately after Orlando and Tampa.
Did you inquire specifically of Davion Murphy whether he knew anybody by the name of Robert Howard?
Yes,
Had you at that time been aware of Robert Howard's involvement in Davion Murphy's cousin's death?
I was aware of that, yes.
What was Davion Murphy's response to your inquiry about Robert Howard?
He claimed he did not know him.
Had you at that time made inquiry from Davion Murphy about whether he knew Mr. Gathright?
I did.
What was his response to that question?
He acknowledged he was aware of him and described him as the light-skinned fellow.
And throughout the course of your interview, did Davion Murphy discuss with you a little bit about the 6-block issues and the death of his cousin, Spaz?
Yes.
Towards the conclusion of the interview itself, did you and Detective Nieder confront Davion Murphy about the footage from the Tesla and the home to suites of the murder of Charles Jones?
Yes.
What was the tenor of that conversation? What was the vibe?
Detective Nieder and I were describing what's observed on the Tesla, specifically the larger male shooter, and just basically what he was doing in the video.
Can you describe the nature of what your comments to Davion Murphy about that shooter were?
Sure, we called him Goofy. He almost killed the light-skinned shooter because he didn't have the awareness to, or the courage, I guess, lack of a better, but excuse me, didn't have the courage to run up on the victim like the other two shooters, and he hung out in the background.
Were you making sarcastic remarks to Davion Murphy about that shooter?
That point of the interview was partially sarcasm, yes.
And are you familiar with what occurred after you left that interview room? Did you continue watching Davion Murphy?
So during that point where Detective Nieder and I are describing what the larger male shooter is doing, that's captured on the Tesla video, Detective Nieder and I leave the interview room, and it's at that point when Davion Murphy begins reenacting the shooting.
I'm going to object, Judge. The best evidence is what's on the video, not the detective's interpretation.
What was Davion Murphy doing with his hands after you left?
He was demonstrating a shooting. He stuck his hands out, his left hand like he was holding a rifle, and his right hand like he was as if it was a trigger finger, and he's holding it in front of him, and he's making a lot of audible rifle noises. He's demonstrating the shooting inside of the interview room.
Do you continue to watch him from that point of the interview on?
Yes.
At some point, does he actually sit back down at the interview table?
Yes.
Are you at least familiar with your general knowledge of Jacksonville gangs with the sign related to 1200?
I am aware of that sign.
And did you see any indications of Davion Murphy utilizing that sign throughout the course of your observations of him?
After he completes his demonstration of the shooting, he sits back down in the chair inside of the interview room, and he looks at the camera inside of the interview room and starts throwing up the 1200 gang sign, which is where you take your middle finger and connect it to your thumb, and he starts throwing it up inside of the interview room to the camera.
And at the conclusion of this interview, you indicated that this video was also forwarded to Tampa.
Yes.
Deputy Martinez, may I have some assistance?
All right, and you may proceed.
And Detective, I think we left off on some of the observations that you were making after you exited the interview room. At the end of your interview with Davion Murphy, could you still see him on the camera?
Yes.
I'm publishing State's Exhibit 118B. What is this a photo of, sir?
This is Mr. Davion Murphy inside of the interview room.
118E and F. You previously described for us some type of behavior and audible noises that Mr. Murphy was making. Is that what's reflected in these still images from the interview?
Yes, this is when he's demonstrating a shooting.
Lastly, in 118D, is this the hand signs that you had previously described for us as well?
Yes.
During the course of your interview with Davion Murphy, did he bring up individuals called crash dummies or created players?
Yes.
What are those, if you could describe those to the jury?
And are you done with this exhibit?
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
Can you ask that again? I'm sorry.
What are crash dummies or created players, if you could describe that to the jury?
A crash dummy is a person that recklessly commits illegal activity without recognizing or the concern of potentially getting caught. So they're just doing something so reckless and they ultimately get caught. They're crashing out. A created player is a person that may not have grown up in a specific area and would be the subject of the gang world as it relates to growing up in a very tough neighborhood potentially, and they ultimately include themselves in this historical violent crime, and they reference those type of people as created players.
All right, so if I, maybe in more layman's terms, created players, are those individuals who did in fact grow up in the neighborhoods that are traditionally associated with the gangs that you see?
No.
Are those individuals who joined those groups later in time?
To my understanding, as it references created players, that's usually what they're referenced as, yes.
And then, did you also have an opportunity to interview an individual by the name of Diamond Greer?
I did not conduct that interview. I know a separate detective did.
Did you make contact with a Diamond Greer for a photo show?
I apologize. I was thinking of a separate person. I did speak with Diamond Greer. Sorry.
And did you have an opportunity during the course of that interview to show her anything?
I did, yes.
What is it that you showed her?
I showed her a still image of Davion Murphy that was captured on video surveillance.
And which video surveillance was that image from?
It was from the Ring doorbell at the Airbnb in Tampa, Florida.
I'm showing you what's been previously admitted as states 38C. Is this the image that you showed to an individual by the name of Diamond Greer?
Yes, this image was supplied to me by the Tampa Police Department, and I used it when I was interviewing Diamond Greer and asked her who this person was.
Without telling me that conclusion, did she ultimately make an identification one way or another from this image?
Yes.
At this time, I will pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez?
Good morning, Detective Drabek.
Good morning.
Detective, you were assigned to the gang unit at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Department in May of 2024, approximately a month prior to this homicide, correct?
Yes.
And you talked about your previous homicide experience and experience with the office, right?
Yes, sir.
And you discussed briefly your day-to-day intelligence gathering, primarily consisting of monitoring social media for many, many accounts. Those that you are aware of that may have connection to either crime or groups or neighborhoods, as well as others who may not, simply for intelligence gathering, correct?
I wouldn't describe it as the primary source, however, it is certainly a significant one.
Well, if you were to tell us what, or if there is a primary source, what would that be?
I wouldn't identify a primary source.
So without identifying a primary source, what you would tell us is that social media and music is an integral and extremely critical part of the day-to-day intelligence, correct?
It can be. Just another source.
You wouldn't characterize it as a significant source?
I did.
Okay.
I
Sorry,
previously said
misunderstood.
significant. Yes, sir.
And much of that, as you are looking at it, is unverifiable, correct? You take it for what it's worth.
It may be a stepping stone or a lead in reference to other things, but sure, the source of a social media post or live video or whatever it may be, that thing as an individual is not is not the end-all be-all. There should be other investigative efforts, yes.
Are you using fake pages to interact?
I have my own personal covert fake page, yes.
Do you interact with these posts? Do you answer them? Do you provide your own commentary? Do you link it? Do you do things like that?
Occasionally, yeah.
So you were on call with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Department on June 23rd, correct?
Yes.
And what that means is that it's not a team of you, as it normally would be, based on who investigates what. It's you handling whatever occurs during that on-call period. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Now, not precluding that you couldn't call someone else if you needed it, but that's primarily why someone's on call, to give other people whatever, work on other cases or downtime or just maybe absenting themselves from what normally has to be done every day, correct?
That's a fair description, yes.
And as I understand it, on the 23rd, this began with your sergeant, Sergeant Cook, telling you that he had been contacted by Tampa with regard to Charles Jones, Julio Foolio being shot, correct?
Sergeant Cook did reach out to me in the early morning hours of the 23rd and provided me information of a Tampa Police Department detective to reach out to in reference to this shooting.
Were you, when you say you're on call, that doesn't necessarily mean you're in the office or you're sitting at your desk or you're working. You're just the person available if something is needed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Were you home?
Yes,
Were you sleeping?
I was.
What was this in the morning hours when this communication started?
Yes, sir.
Morning hours as in 7, 8, 9, when you're getting this information rolling through?
Around there, yes, sir.
And so you then look at social media, correct? When you're apprised of this.
Yes,
Because you wouldn't have been looking at social media prior to that. You would have done it in conjunction with finding out about it.
correct.
And that's one of the things you would normally do. Start looking at this person, these people, this group, that neighborhood, whatever it is you could put your hands on that might give you the ability to interpret something, correct?
That would be one of the things that we would start doing, yes.
But that's what you did in this particular situation,
Right in the beginning, yes.
okay? And when you did that, you determined that amongst the other things you were seeing, Ghost 187 was posting and Goodaze was posting during those morning hours and into the afternoon, correct?
Yes,
And they were posting about the death of Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, as you interpreted it, correct?
if you're looking at the post alone, you certainly wouldn't make that interpretation.
So it was your interpretation when you looked at it to make a presumption or to at least suggest, well, I'm going to tell them about it. Tampa.
Sure,
Agreed?
yes.
And I can presume that if you were looking and casting a net here, there were other people posting, correct?
There is a tremendous amount of people posting that day in reference to this.
And some of them were celebratory posts, correct?
Yes, they were celebrating his death.
Some were sad, some were angry, some were just spewing out information, good, bad, or indifferent, correct?
A combination of
All of
sad
those.
and celebratory, yeah.
All of those things, correct?
Yes,
And that didn't even cover all of the platform that were out there, right? You didn't look at Reddit.
I look at a variety of different pages and
On-
websites.
On that morning, it was Instagram that was providing you these things, correct?
Yes,
Okay. But you would agree with me that Twitter, Spaces, Facebook, Reddit, your search during that time period wouldn't have been inclusive of even everything that was being said about Charles Jones, correct?
Sure.
But how you presented it to Tampa was that you believed that in particular these two accounts were posting what you interpreted as celebratory posts. That's what you told them, correct?
From the posts I observed, yes.
And that's what they took in order to attempt to further their investigation, as you understand it.
In the beginning stages of the investigation, I would describe it more as just information sharing as it relates to Jacksonville gangs and the historical violence that existed, since they weren't aware of any of that. So those were some of the posts I shared during those conversations.
Did you share any other posts with about any other people?
I do recall sharing not different people, but I also recall sharing an X Spaces conversation between Isaiah Chance and Charles Jones that occurred prior.
That wasn't in those early morning hours, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, was it? That was later.
Well, that was captured weeks prior, but at some point I shared it, yes.
Bad question. What I meant to say is that wasn't in your the information you were sharing that morning. That was shared with them later. I know it was actually posted, or the conversation took place weeks before, but you shared it with them later, maybe not even that same day.
It may have been the same day. There was so many conversations throughout that whole day relating to the scene of the crime, who was present with Charles Jones, the historical violence. So we were sharing information back and forth. Specifically, which post was shared at that very moment during that single phone call, I don't remember that.
And so you do not have any independent knowledge or any evidence that Ghost 187 is associated with Rashad Murphy, do you?
I did not know.
And you never saw anything when you monitored that account that indicated to you and told you this is Rashad Murphy's account, correct?
Aside from my own observations, no.
Okay. Well, your own observations, in fact, Detective, is that there's not a single instance where a post or a picture or a video that you found on that account would tell you that it belongs to Rashad Murphy, right? No picture of him on the profile, correct?
Correct.
No pictures of his kids or his fiance, correct?
Correct.
No posts that would have directly related to anything in his particular life, correct?
That's accurate.
And the way that you made this association would have been things told to you by other detectives,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Those posts that you saw on that morning, as it relates to Ghost 187, they were illustrated in State's Exhibit 108. And I just want to go through those briefly. One of them was laughing emojis, correct?
Yes.
Four laughing emojis.
Yes.
And your interpretation was that that's a celebration of his death simply because it happened the morning, that post happened the morning of Charles Jones' murder, correct?
It could be, yes.
It also could be that somebody is thinking that something that someone else has posted about some other subject is funny.
It could be, sure.
And you attached that with another post of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady after the Super Bowl, correct? That was another one of them.
Yep.
And that's all in that State Exhibit 108 that you saw and that you talked about each one of those particular posts, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that post you interpreted, again, as being a celebration because that post was after the Super Bowl, right?
So, okay, I see what you're saying. The picture of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick was captured after the Super Bowl. This post was shared in June.
Bad question. I was taking it down the wrong path. That post that was posted that morning, as it related to it being posted that morning, you interpreted as, again, being a celebration of Julio Foolio's death, correct?
It could be. We have learned as detectives in the gang unit that persons involved in violent crime in the city of Jacksonville would routinely share videos and posts of people celebrating, and it was an insinuation or a subliminal message to celebrate a person's recent death. We would see that often.
It also could be interpreted along the same lines of investigation as these are people who are the greatest of all time, the GOATs. They are best player in the world, the best coach in the world, correct?
Yes.
Oftentimes considered.
Sure.
And maybe utilizing that post with some type of meaning, associating it with GOAT, greatest of all time,
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
And it certainly does not have to be an interpretation of someone who is posting it to be suggesting, I am the GOAT. The person posting it, it's a picture of the GOAT, I'm the GOAT.
I usually see people posting sports-related posts at the conclusion of a sporting event. As it relates to Jacksonville gang violence, we typically see these posts made at the conclusion of a person dying. I don't know if I've ever seen someone reference themselves as a GOAT with a Tom Brady post. I haven't seen that before.
Okay, so it's not been your experience, and you don't associate that with gangs. Somebody saying, I'm the man, I'm the GOAT.
I've heard that reference, but I'm sure they would be calling themselves that, not utilizing Tom Brady and Bill for that.
There's also a post during that day, during that morning, of Corbin shooting birds.
Yes.
Remember that? And you interpret that as, again, something relating to Charles Jones being dead, correct?
It could be.
And my assumption is if you're going to pass it along to the Tampa Police Department, it could be, it couldn't be, but you sent it for that purpose.
Yes.
And certainly it could also be the poster telling somebody to F off, correct?
Yes.
Well, in understanding that if it's a picture of someone shooting the middle finger out with both hands, you could be telling someone that you are in a conversation with, or someone that is part of that post or that sees your page or is part of a group, that you're telling them or him or her to F off.
Could be.
Or equally as possible, I don't care what you say. I don't care about you.
Could be.
So Hate Me Kindly was also a post that you saw that morning. And that obviously could be disrespect to someone, a group, a person, another person who there's been a conversation with back and forth as a diss. If you're going to hate me kindly. You would agree that it could be easily interpreted that way.
Could be.
And you, though, interpreted it again as being connected directly to Charles Jones' death, correct? Or else you wouldn't have given it to the Tampa Police Department.
I provided that post in a series of the posts he made. That was just one of them. Yep.
Okay? Of some relative significance to you, correct?
What stood out to me the most was the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick one. Obviously, the same stories posted within that 24-hour period existed, so those were included in what I shared because they were there.
I'm sorry, who was there?
The posts were included within that sample of posts that was still attached to his story.
Okay. When you say they were there, you mean the posts were there?
The posts, yes, sir, that's what we're discussing.
And all of these posts, either singularly or in conjunction with each other, could very well be someone, Ghost 187, celebrating the death of Charles Jones, as many, many people were on social media at that same time, correct?
A lot of people were celebrating his death, yes.
You also, as a result of looking at Instagram and Instagram records, your investigation revealed that Alicia Andrews' Instagram on June 21st indicated that it was trying to get, or the person who was posting on her Instagram page was trying to get someone to rent an Airbnb for her for the next day, June 22nd, correct?
My knowledge of the Instagram records is very limited. I did not obtain them. I was not the affiant of those warrants. However, I did become aware of the context of that message, yes.
And you saw that. I mean, it was part of your investigation. It was part of what you were doing in Jacksonville that Tampa was sharing.
Yes, sir.
And in your part of the investigation, you don't know who that communication was with as it relates to that rental, do you?
I do not know the identity of the woman she was speaking with, no.
You also were the affiant or the author of a search warrant for the phone that was jointly possessed by Charmaine Steiger and Rashad Murphy, 904-386-0925, correct?
Not for the device, but I believe for historical cell site.
Right. So historical cell site records. And as a result of that, you were able to determine at certain periods of time during that weekend where that phone was located, correct?
Yes.
And that's what got you to the point where you located the phone on Friday, the 21st at 10:20 p.m. at the Walmart, correct?
Yes.
And it was you that went to the Walmart, got video that showed Mr. Murphy, Rashad Murphy, in the Walmart at that time, 10:30-ish, buying items, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were asked on direct examination about Mr. Murphy's arrest in Jacksonville, correct? at the home. You talked about what happened, the course of events that took place prior to him coming out and surrendering himself, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you tell me, I can't remember, were you there or did you show up after he was in custody?
I was there.
And that started on the 29th of July, correct? And you ultimately interviewed him on the 30th, which would have been after midnight.
That's correct.
You detailed that scenario surrounding his arrest on your direct examination, right?
Yes.
You don't know whether or not he was afraid to come out, do you? Nothing in your investigation would have told you that he didn't come out of that house because he was afraid.
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
If you know, you can answer.
I
You know
don't
one
know.
way or the other.
I don't know if he was afraid or not.
Were you aware of his arrest in Gwinnett County? You knew he had been arrested in Gwinnett County 3 or 4 weeks earlier
Yes, sir.
on a misdemeanor resisting arrest without violence. You were aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware that 4 weeks earlier that upon getting out of that Chevy Cruze that he was blocked in and there was a gun pointed at him? Were you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware that he panicked and ran, and while he was running, he was tased? You aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware that when he was on the ground, he was again tased in his private parts? Did you know that?
I did.
Did you ever see the video of that arrest?
I have not.
Were you aware that a service weapon was placed on his temple?
Objection, Your Honor. Outside the scope at this point.
Overruled, go ahead.
I don't know.
Okay. You weren't aware of that, or you didn't see that on the video?
I was unaware of that.
Were you aware that his shoulder was separated and he needed to go to the hospital to get treatment for it?
No.
Based on your investigation of Rashad Murphy, do you know whether he's ever been convicted of a felony?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You talked briefly, just a little bit back, about the State's Exhibit 121, which was the Twitter Spaces conversation between Gutazay and you might be able to help me, you might be able to not help me. ESPN
98.
98, which is Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in that conversation, there was nothing private about it. It was a communal conversation on Spaces, which most of the time that's the way it is, correct?
There's a portion of that X Spaces that occurred prior to me beginning my screen recording. It was Charles Jones accusing Isaiah Chance of being gay. That's what ultimately leads into the verbal dispute between the two, and that's when I begin screen recording.
Well, they're bantering back and forth in a group of 16 other people, correct?
Yes.
Not a private conversation.
No.
Okay. And people are chiming in and laughing, correct?
Yes.
In fact, both of them at one point in time or another are chuckling as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
And during the course of that conversation, it's actually Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, who says, Gutty, you got bigger fish to fry. Do you recall hearing that?
I do.
back to the interview that you discussed with Mr. Murphy on July 30th. It began at about 3 o'clock in the morning, correct?
I think it. Yeah, I
Con-
would
con-
say so.
Concluded about 4:30 in the morning, and you said it was about an hour and a half long, give or take.
Yes, sir.
And this was not your case per se. You spoke to Detective Ramos, and instead of him traveling to Jacksonville, he either authorized or asked you to conduct the interview, correct?
Yes. Detective Ramos requested that I go ahead and interview him because he was unable to travel on that day.
And Detective Ramos obviously knew a lot more about what was going on in his investigation at that point than you did. You would agree?
Yes, Detective Ramos is the lead detective. He's responsible to know everything as it relates to the case.
And you would agree with me that you really didn't have a full and entire view of the shooting, the murder, and the intricacies of what occurred in Tampa, correct?
That's fair.
You even told Mr. Murphy that it wasn't your case.
Correct.
Was there some type of strategic purpose in you conducting this interview instead of Tampa?
No, I just said Detective Ramos was unable to travel to Jacksonville. I don't know what his circumstances were, but Rashad Murphy needed to be interviewed, and I was available to interview him.
And you would agree with me that Mr. Murphy appeared under those circumstances that we just talked about earlier to be exhausted, correct? And it was pretty obvious, was it not?
Yeah,
And he was shaking, correct?
not when he was in the interview room.
At all. He wasn't shaking during the course of the interview. You guys had to come and bring him a big giant blanket to put over it.
Someone brought him a blanket.
And he told you that he was really weak, correct?
I don't recall that.
You even offered him a Red Bull, did you?
I was drinking an energy drink, and I shared with him why I like him. I may have offered him one. I don't remember.
But in any sense, you believed it was appropriate to continue the interview based on what you observed his condition to be, correct?
I observed his condition to be totally fine for an interview.
Initially, he talks about his 4 kids, and you ask him about the weekend, and he tells you about his son Prosper having a birthday on June 23rd, correct? I think you testified about that on direct.
Yes, sir.
And he tells you that his cousin Davion, which again you talked about in direct, was supposed to be going to Orlando for him on behalf of his brother, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
Rephrase.
He told you that he had borrowed the car from his, maybe that's not the right word, sister-in-law, but the baby's mother of his brother, correct?
Yes.
And I think you indicated to us that he originally denied being in Tampa on June 23rd, correct?
Yes, sir.
But that he had been in Tampa previously for a concert a long time ago.
To represent that more accurately, I asked him multiple times if he had been to Tampa, if he had ever physically been to Tampa. He answered those initially, no, he's never physically been to Tampa. Ultimately, he does at one point say he had been to a show at an unknown time in Tampa.
I didn't mean to insinuate that it was, have you ever been to Tampa? Oh, I've been to Tampa for a show. It took you a bit to get to that point where he made that acknowledgement, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he told you that the car was borrowed and it was brought back to him on Sunday, correct?
If Sunday was the 23rd, yes.
Yes. Sunday was the 23rd, so that's correct, right?
Yes, sir.
And he also starts to talk to you because you mention and you provide him information about the Airbnb, correct? You start a conversation with him about that portion of the investigation. Hey, look, there's an Airbnb in your name.
He actually brings up the Airbnb first, but I do start to question him about it.
And what he tells you is that he allowed, and he says this from the beginning, I'm here because I allowed people to do things and borrow things that I shouldn't have done. He tells you that very early on, doesn't he?
Yes, sir.
And when it comes to the Airbnb, he says that he allowed his account to be used and provided his identification, correct?
Correct.
He also tells you that he wouldn't have booked an Airbnb in his name in Tampa, didn't he?
He does.
And that he tells you he didn't know the Airbnb was in Tampa, correct?
Initially, yes.
And what I mean by that, and based on your response initially, I'm talking about when it was booked, when the account was used. He's telling you he didn't know the Airbnb was in Tampa, correct?
At the initial part of the interview, that's the story he gives. At the initial part of the interview.
And you have seen the confirmation of the Airbnb. It was shown to you on yesterday sometime during the course of your testimony, correct? No?
I don't recall reviewing that as an exhibit, but I have seen that before.
Okay. And you would agree with me that the confirmation on the Airbnb is to an account that is in Rashad Murphy's name, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that confirmation does not include an address or location in city of where that property is, correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
And one thing that remains constant throughout your investigation is that he continues to insist that someone else utilized his account and he himself did not make that reservation, correct?
At the initial part of the interview, that's what he continues to insist.
Well, then maybe we need to get to a point where I think you may be going to. Are you suggesting to me or telling me that at some point in time he tells you, I booked this Airbnb for me or for someone else, I booked it?
At the later portions of the interview, he does confirm that he goes to the Airbnb and is actually trying to make contact with people at the rear door because he's trying to check in on his Airbnb. Those are his words.
What he's telling you, and I agree with you, and we're going to get to that, is that he ultimately goes to the Airbnb on the 23rd of June, correct? That's what he tells you.
Yes.
Okay. And he says he's going to check on the Airbnb, correct?
Yes.
He doesn't tell you why he needs to check on the Airbnb on June 23rd, which is Sunday, in the morning, does he? He didn't tell you that.
Say that again?
he doesn't tell you why he needed to go and check on the Airbnb on June 23rd in the morning.
Right.
Okay. And what he consistently continues to tell you during the interview is that he did not have anything to do with a shooting in Tampa, correct?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't ultimately make any type of admission to being present in Tampa at the time of the shooting, correct?
Correct.
And he doesn't tell you he had or participated in or assisted in anything that had to do with Charles Jones' murder, correct?
Correct.
So there's no admission per se to a crime, correct?
Yes, sir.
He tells you, does he not, that he thought that the vehicle was going to Orlando to help take things to his brother, correct?
Yes.
And he also says that what was happening was supposed to be happening in Orlando, not in Tampa, correct?
Yes.
He also tells you he wouldn't have allowed anyone to use his Airbnb account to book an Airbnb in Tampa. Tells you that, doesn't he?
He does.
So, as we're going along in this interview, what happens is you tell him, look, we have videotape of you getting out of an Uber at Sean Gathright's house in Tampa. And that Uber leaves the Airbnb in Tampa. That's the origin of the Uber, correct?
Yes.
And he continues in a denial capacity, correct?
Yes, sir.
But then, I think you spoke to the state on direct, and you said that you left him, which is sometimes a law enforcement tool of investigation where you want someone to think about what they've been telling you, correct?
Yep.
You want to give them the opportunity on their own, by themselves, to consider why they should continue to maintain a certain line of answers to your questions.
That could be the case. Specifically, as it related to this, I just wanted to give him more of an opportunity to think about the information we shared and to provide a truthful statement about what happened that day.
It's just like an unsaid, hey, you want to think about this.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, that was a yes, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Sorry.
So when you come back, he ultimately tells you, look, I know what I'm saying seems inconsistent. It may look like I'm lying, but I want to tell you that I didn't ride with other people to Tampa, and I wasn't there when any murder took place, correct?
Right.
And what he tells you is that he drives to Tampa in the morning hours with his friend Fizzle, correct?
Correct.
And Fizzle is Darius Beals.
That's correct.
And at the time that you did this interview on the 30th of June, Darius Beals was alive and breathing and doing whatever Darius Beals does, correct? On June 30th.
No,
I'm sorry, that is completely wrong. When this ride between the defendant and Darius Beals took place on the 23rd of June, Darius Beals was alive,
Yes, sir.
correct? Subsequently, I believe you said either on the 28th or 30th, Darius Beals is killed, correct?
Darius Beals is murdered in Clay County on June 28th of 2024.
June
28th.
28th.
2024.
And so that's when we talked about your prior answer, where he tells you that that's the reason why he went down to Tampa, is to check on this Airbnb situation, correct?
Yes.
And he goes on to tell you, I got there, but I did not stay long, correct?
Correct.
Goes on to tell you that the reason that he goes back to Jacksonville with Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews in that Uber is because he didn't have any other ride and no one else was going back to Jacksonville, correct?
Correct.
That's when you started asking him about the Uber ride and his presence in Tampa in the early afternoon of June 23rd, correct?
Yes.
And this is where the issue with the Airbnb becomes a topic of conversation, correct?
Yes.
And it was your testimony that Mr. Murphy indicated at one point in time, based on your questioning, that he had gone into the Airbnb, correct?
Attempted to.
So your testimony is what Mr. Murphy told you, is that he had attempted to go into the Airbnb, correct?
Yes.
And what he tells you, first of all, strike that. You're talking about the back, not the front, correct? Back door of the Airbnb.
Yes, sir.
And when he says that he attempted or he went to the back of the Airbnb, this is after you tell him that you don't see him on the camera, correct?
Right.
Which is a fact. Rashad Murphy is not on any camera relating to that Airbnb that you have seen or that you're aware of from June 22nd through June 23rd, and at any point in time before or after Charles Jones is murdered, correct?
Right.
And what he tells you is that when he got there and he went to the back, he knocked on the door, no one answered, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then he came back, and as he's sitting with Fizzle, there's an Uber driver there, and they come out the front door, and that's when they get into the Uber, correct?
Right.
In the meantime, he said he was sitting in the car waiting, correct?
I don't recall where he suggested he was standing, but at some point he meets him out front, yeah.
Okay. Well, he's standing or he's somewhere where the activation of the cameras for the Airbnb Ring video do not show him in that frame, in that part of the parking lot, correct?
Right.
But what you can see is you can see the Uber driver, correct?
I don't know.
Have you looked at it?
I've looked at a few of the clips.
Okay. Have you looked at the clip where the Airbnb gets there? Did you show it to him? Didn't you show him the clip of the Uber driver?
No.
Okay. Have you seen it once or enough times to talk to me about it, or no?
I've seen a few of the clips.
Did you see the one specifically where the parking lot is shown and the Uber driver and the individuals going to the Uber driver, to the Uber?
I believe so, yes.
Right. You don't see Rashad Murphy, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you see people leaving the Airbnb, and you see somebody coming across the parking lot toward the Airbnb, correct? Toward the Uber driver location, correct?
Yes.
So when he tells you, when he changes his story after he says, look, I've told you inconsistent things and it sounds like I'm lying. That's what he said, correct? And that's when he started to change his story and give you another version, correct?
I provide him with information about Sean Gathright's video surveillance. It's at that point he realizes, yes, I look like a liar, and then he gives me another story.
Correct. So he
Yes.
didn't maintain the story with or without footage, and I'm not suggesting to you that he did that on his own. What I'm suggesting to you is after you told him, hey, look, dude, you know, why don't you just tell me about it? He then tells you, look, I know this sounds inconsistent, and, you know, I know it sounds like I'm lying. And that's when we get on the path to the story that ends the interview, correct?
Yes, sir.
And because you now have that information, as a good detective, you're going to try to follow up to see what you can corroborate, correct?
Potentially.
In terms of his interview. I mean, part of your investigation is always going to be, well, let me see what I can corroborate so I can determine whether or not this guy might be telling me the truth.
That's true. Someone should do that. Yes, I agree.
And what you did in this case to that end is that you went to Clay County and you made a determination that Darius Beal's phones were taken into custody and that there had been a download, correct?
Yes.
And you took that download of the iPhone and you did, or there was cell site location, there was other data in it that you would potentially normally find in an extraction, correct?
Yes.
And sometimes extractions are full, sometimes extractions are partial. You don't know whether or not this was a full or a partial extraction, correct?
I don't remember.
And what that extraction or partial extraction showed you was that you thought Darius Beals was not in Tampa because there was cell site locations of that phone in Clay County and Jacksonville area during June 23rd day, correct?
I never obtained or reviewed any historical cell site. There was GPS location data contained within the phone, which is separate, but I believe someone within Tampa did follow up and did some historical cell site, which is separate from the GPS location data on the phone, but yeah.
So in any event, your determination was, and you provided Tampa information that said Darius Beals couldn't have been in Tampa, correct?
Correct.
You did that review of that report.
I obtained the cell phone downloads. The cell phone downloads are contained on a hard drive. It's not something I can remotely share. So in the meantime, prior to providing them to Tampa, I did start to go through them.
Okay. And in going through them, you felt comfortable because of the location information and the data that was in the phone, it was traveling in Jacksonville to various locations during that day, correct?
There's more to it than just location data, but yes.
Okay. What else is there?
There's media files, financial records, social media accounts, communication logs.
During that day?
Yes.
Okay. And again, your conclusion was that Darius Beals was not in Tampa.
Correct.
Okay. But there's a second phone, correct?
Yep.
And Darius Beals has two phones, correct?
Yes.
And there was actually a download done on that phone too, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the results of that download of that phone couldn't tell us where that phone was, correct?
That's correct.
And so you can put one of Darius Beals' phones in Jacksonville on June 23rd, correct?
Yes.
But you can't put the other one, can you?
I can't, but I can say that that phone was never powered on June 23rd.
But he could have had it with him, correct? He could have taken that phone in the event that he needed to use it.
He could have, yes.
You don't know where that phone was on June 23rd, correct?
It was never powered on. You would never be able to determine that.
You don't know where it was on that particular date, correct?
That's true.
So it doesn't necessarily follow that Darius Beals was with one phone and not another. We don't know that. You can't testify to that, can you?
He could have a phone on him that is not powered on, sure, but I don't see what the use of that would be.
Unless you wanted to power it on and use it.
But that never occurred.
Correct. It didn't occur. Could have occurred. It was capable of occurring. It was an operational phone, correct?
True.
It was, there would have been monthly bills on it. There was data on it showing that it had been used, correct?
It had been, yes.
And you don't know whether Darius Beals had that phone in his possession on June 23rd, do you?
I don't.
And there was no data on that phone that would have precluded that phone could be in Tampa on June 23rd, correct? There's no data on it.
Correct. That device is never powered on. There's no opinion to be made or any data to reference to determine where it was.
Did you speak to Darius Beals' family?
No.
Did you speak to his friends?
I didn't speak to anyone in reference to Darius Beals.
You said there was a transaction, correct?
There's a financial transaction at the Orange Park Mall for some Japanese food on the 23rd.
Did you go to try to figure out whether or not Darius Beals was there that day?
No. By the time we received the information and the cell phone device, this was July 30th. It's been well over a month and some change after the fact.
So you're going to presume that there probably wouldn't be camera information at that time, correct? Is that what you're saying?
As a homicide detective in the city of Jacksonville and surrounding areas that has pulled so much video from DVRs, it's become my experience that video, more oftentimes than not, doesn't exist beyond a week. Better yet, more than a month.
Okay? And that would be the way that the system is set up by the user, correct?
Sure.
Meaning, it can be, and it's capable of being. Your experience is that most of the time it's not. You could have video for 6 months, correct? Depending on the system, depending on what you've set it as a default or a run over, and what the parent company either requires in their contract or what you pay for in order to store something longer, correct?
I've never experienced that, but I guess, yes.
Okay? So you're telling me you don't know that to be a fact? That you can determine how long something is saved and that there are different contracts or different agreements with the storage holders of that information as to when it's going to be written over?
I'm speculating, but I've never experienced a DVR system capture video more than a month. Is it possible? Sure. I'm sure there's some remote cloud software system somewhere that could capture video beyond 30 days. I'm sure it's possible. I have not experienced that in my experience.
You would also agree with me that if we were revisiting the Airbnb connection to Mr. Murphy on the 23rd of June, that certainly his interview would tell us exactly what he said, correct? The audio video transcript of his interview, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, Detective, Rashad Murphy in his interview also tells you, or he tells you in that interview, that he didn't tell you the truth in the beginning of his interview because he didn't want any parts of what was going on in Tampa, because now it's 30 days later. So, everybody knows everything about this murder. I don't mean from a investigation standpoint, but just where it happened, how it happened, who it happened to, correct? 30 days later.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he tells you in the interview that he didn't tell you the truth in the beginning because he didn't want no parts of Tampa, and that he knew it would be bad if he was in the Tampa area on the 23rd of June, correct?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you.
Mr. Nardi?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Detective.
Good afternoon.
Still morning.
It's still
Good morning.
morning. As I entered, how long have you been with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
Going on 9 years.
9 years?
May will be 9 years.
All right. And prior to January of 2025, you had had no contact with Davion Murphy, correct?
Correct.
Didn't know who he was until that point, correct?
I did not know who he was prior to this incident.
Correct, that's what I'm asking. All right.
Yes, sir.
And you said 9 years, going on 10 years at this time?
I'm 8 years going on 9 years.
8 years, going on 9 years, all right. And at some point in time, obviously, you've testified that there were arrest warrants issued for a number of individuals, one of which was Davion Murphy, correct?
Yes, sir.
And is it fair to say that as a result of those arrest warrants, officers, detectives, et cetera, with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was looking for these 5 individuals, I believe it was, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and Davion Murphy was one of those individuals.
Correct.
Do you know, Detective, pursuant to your position with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, whether or not Davion Murphy resided in Jacksonville or Orlando?
I know at one point he had historical addresses in Orlando.
Correct.
Where he established a permanent residency around this time, I don't know.
Yeah, but he did have a Orlando address, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, based on the arrest warrants that were issued, I'm obviously assuming that efforts were made to locate Davion Murphy, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall when it was that the arrest warrants were issued? Approximately.
July,
Sometime in July.
late July, 2024.
And is it fair to say that Mr. Davion Murphy was not located until January of '25?
Correct.
All right. And you don't know specifically his whereabouts through that period of time, is that accurate?
Not until he's interviewed.
Till his interview, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you did not know his whereabouts between July of 2024 and January of 2025 until his interview. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is it fair to say that majority of that time he was in fact in Jacksonville, Florida?
Per his own admission, yes.
I'm sorry?
Per his own admission, yes.
Okay. And you just weren't able to locate him?
Correct.
All right. You and however many deputies, et cetera, are with the the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. But there did come a time when, at some point in time, that you or other individuals with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office believed they had located Davion Murphy at an apartment complex in Jacksonville. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Did you participate in taking Davion Murphy into custody?
I was present in the area. Our SWAT team did the apprehension of Davion Murphy.
Did you actually see the apprehension of Davion Murphy from your location?
They keep a safety perimeter just because they're using breaching equipment and other SWAT techniques and equipment. So they have to keep a safety perimeter, but I was very close by.
And is it fair to say, based on your observations and your knowledge of what transpired in taking Davion Murphy into custody, he voluntarily presented himself to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office deputies there, correct?
No,
All right. Did he attempt to run?
he didn't have an opportunity to.
Was the door of the apartment complex breached in order to remove Davion Murphy?
They blew the door off of the apartment he was in, yes.
I'm saying it again?
They breached the front door, yes.
And was Mr. Murphy there present at the front door when it was breached, and he was actually injured as a result of that breach?
I'm unaware of any injuries, but he does say the door hit him upon it being breached.
All right, so he was at the door when the door was being breached. Is that accurate?
That's what he shared with me, yes.
All right. And I'm assuming, obviously, is that he was going to be transported at some point in time from that location to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I would anticipate that he was fully searched prior to being transported.
Always.
That's a safety precaution for everybody concerned, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And no weapons were found on Davion Murphy, correct?
Correct.
No firearms, guns, knives, anything of any weapons, correct?
No weapons.
Now, at some point in time, he is placed in that, it's called an interview room?
Yep. Yes, sir.
All right. And who was present in the interview room besides Mr. Davion Murphy?
At one point, myself and Detective Nieder enter the interview room.
Who was primarily responsible for the interviewing of Davion Murphy in that interview room?
Myself.
Okay. And Detective Nieder was secondary as just to assist you if you needed any assistance. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
So you conducted the vast majority, if not all, of the questioning of Davion Murphy, correct?
Correct.
Prior to, and I believe you've testified to this on direct, but prior to interviewing Davion Murphy, did you advise him of his constitutional rights?
Yes.
And is that done from a form?
Yes, it is.
And did you read verbatim from that form to Mr. Davion Murphy?
Yes, sir.
And did you ask Mr. Davion Murphy if he understood his rights?
Yes,
And did you ask him to sign that form?
I did.
And did he in fact sign and execute the form?
Yes, sir, he did.
All right. And then subject to at that point in time is when you initiated your interview with Davion Murphy.
Correct.
And so that I'm clear, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that's the first contact, your recollection, that you'd ever had with Davion Murphy, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, you've gone through, and I'm not going to reiterate what your statements concerning the comments made by Mr. Murphy during that interview, so we'll go with that. I believe, is it fair to say that the time you came in contact with Mr. Murphy, Davion Murphy, so that we can keep it straight, he was intoxicated, was he not?
It did not appear to me that he was, but he did.
Did he not give signs of intoxication?
No.
You don't believe he did?
Not when he was speaking with me, no.
Did he appear to be impaired in any manner?
You're asking my opinion. I'm sharing it with you. That
what
wasn't my
You don't believe
opinion.
he was? And
No, sir.
We can determine that from the video itself, I presume.
That was my first time meeting him, so I don't necessarily have a good understanding of what his baseline levels are of being intoxicated or not intoxicated. However, based on my opinion of sitting next to him at a table, it wasn't my opinion that he was intoxicated.
All right, that's your opinion.
That's
Okay,
my
you don't-
opinion.
You don't believe he was, all right.
No.
But he was cooperative during your interview, is that accurate?
Correct.
And was it, let's use the term jovial, he was very upbeat, very happy?
Mixed emotions.
All right.
Yeah.
He was cooperative, was he not?
Yeah, I would ask him a question, he would answer it.
All right. Now, there were points in time where both you and Detective Meter exited the interview room, correct?
Yes.
And during those periods of time when you exited the interview room, was there music playing in the background?
Yes.
And what kind of music was that? Do you recall?
I don't know what the local radio stations here are, but if you were to put on today's top hits, That's what they were playing.
How about rap music?
No,
You don't recall?
I don't recall there being rap music.
All right, all right. You don't recall what music was playing? But there was, when you and Detective Nieder exited the interview room, there was piped-in music that was going into the interview room, correct?
Right.
And was there not points in time where Mr. Davion Murphy was dancing to that music?
I remember him walking around. He may have been dancing.
All right, dancing to the music that was being piped in, correct?
Okay, yes.
All right. In fact, he was singing or verbalizing, singing with the music, was he not?
I do recall him singing. I don't know if it was the same song that was being played.
Okay. And dancing to it at the same time, correct?
He may have been dancing.
Well, you don't recall?
I remember him walking. I mean, that might be his form of dancing. I don't know.
All right. And it's your testimony that based on those actions by Mr. Davion Murphy, you don't believe that he was intoxicated or in any way impaired at that point in time?
No.
Correct?
Correct.
All right. But he was in fact singing and dancing to the music. You recall that, correct?
You've asked me a number of times if I remember him dancing. I don't. I remember him walking in the room, and if you define that as dancing, that's
All right.
that's fine. That's not what I interpreted.
Do you know who NBA Youngboy is?
I do.
Who is that?
He's a rapper.
A rapper?
Yep. Yes.
All right. Did I understand you to indicate to the state on direct that you believed you observed Davion Murphy make a gun sign? Was that you?
That's what he physically demonstrated, yes.
All right. That you recall that in the video, correct?
You can't miss that.
Okay. And if you would demonstrate for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what your recollection is, the manner in which Davion Murphy mimicked whatever it was that you believe he was mimicking.
Okay. Do you want me to physically demonstrate it?
Yes.
So, would you like me to stand up? too?
Yes, I feel like it would be easier for the ladies
Your
and
Honor,
gentlemen.
do you mind if I stand
Yep,
up?
go ahead.
So Davion Murphy, when Detective Nieder and I leave the interview room, Davion Murphy starts to walk around in the interview room with one hand extended, his left hand, and his right hand as he's brandishing a trigger finger. And he starts to walk around the interview room just like this, and he points up at the camera and he starts going, "Bup, bup, 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 bup." And he does it a number of times. And that's what we're observing remotely from a separate room on the camera.
Thank you, Detective.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that. Now, let's return back to NBA Youngboy. Who is he?
He's a rapper.
And have you observed any of his rap videos?
I've actually worked NBA Youngboy's concert. I've seen him
Oh,
on
you
it.
have?
Yes.
And have you seen NBA Youngboy do that same action that you just shown the ladies and gentlemen of the jury on numerous occasions?
I have.
What's the relevance?
Wow. It is relevant, Judge.
Well, okay, he's answered the question, so what's your next question? Overrule the objection as far as the question that's on the table.
Did you have any involvement, Detective, in checking the social media of Davion Murphy?
No.
You did not have any? Well, let's do it this way. As one of the as one of the detectives, are you aware of any social media that's been recovered pertaining to Davion Murphy?
I'm not.
Did I understand you to say on direct examination that your recollection is that Davion Murphy knew Sean Gathright?
He references a press conference that was broadcasted by the Tampa Police Department that displayed Sean Gathright. At some point in the interview, we referenced that press conference, and he admits that he had hung out with the light-skinned fellow previously.
All right, so your recollection is that based on that press conference that there was some knowledge of Davion Murphy of Sean Gathright, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, as I understand it, and again, on direct examination, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you ever, my understanding is you showed still photos of some of the state's exhibits, and I don't have the exhibit numbers, but they pertain to the Ring camera at the Airbnb that purport to show Davion Murphy on that Ring camera entering the residence, correct? You recall that?
I was supplied that image by the Tampa Police Department, yes.
All right. And did you show that image to Davion Murphy during that interview?
Yes, sir.
And he identified himself, did he not, as the individual on that Ring camera, correct?
He did.
All right, and that was on the June 23rd, but I believe the early hours, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. Do you recall the time of that?
I don't remember the timestamp or the date, but I know it was captured from the Airbnb.
Okay. Did you ever show Davion Murphy any photos of, or still photos from the security cameras at McDonald's restaurant on Fowler Avenue?
I did not.
Did not do that.
I did not have access to them at the point of during this interview.
So that the record is clear, Detective, you were able to obtain the extraction data on 2 cell phones that were the property of Darius Beal, also known as Fizzle, correct?
Yes.
All right. And one was an Apple iPhone, correct?
Yes.
And based on your testimony is that during June 23rd of 2024, you believe Darius Beal was present in the Duval, Clay County areas, based on the cell phone data, correct?
Yes.
You were able to able to double check the location of Darius Beal with that phone data to confirm whether or not he in fact was the one possessing the phone, correct?
Double check the.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
You have phone data that shows he was in a certain area in Duval and Clay counties, correct?
Yes.
And we've gone through this, and you also were able to determine that he made a purchase at I believe it was a Japanese restaurant, but you weren't able to confirm whether or not Darius Beal was in fact the one possessing that phone. Is that accurate?
Ask that again.
You were never able to confirm who was actually possessing the phone that was tracking in Duval and Clay counties, correct?
The device, the review of this cell phone extraction, the phone belongs to Darius Beals. The account information belongs to Darius Beals. The communication logs, the media files, all the primary possessor of the device is Darius Beals. You're asking if there's additional layered evidence to include video surveillance. I did not obtain the information relating to Darius Beals until a month after the fact, well over a month after. So no, there is nothing additional. You're right.
So the short answer is no, you don't know who possessed that phone. Is that accurate?
Accompanied with video surveillance, no. You're right.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
All right. And we've also confirmed that Mr. Darius Beal Fizzle also possessed a second phone, correct?
Yes.
And that was a Samsung phone, correct?
Yes, the review of that phone was possessed for work purposes. It appeared he worked for a logistics company for moving.
And you don't know where that phone was on June 23rd, 2024, correct?
Correct.
All right. You don't know if Darius Beal Fizzle had that phone in Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida on June 23rd, 2024, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, Charles Jones, who went by the stage name of Julio Foolio, correct?
Yes, sir.
He had a great deal of social media posts, correct?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of them included his traveling to Tampa to celebrate his birthday and where he was going to party, et cetera, et cetera. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And did you also learn that at one point in time that Mr. Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, was partying to the extent that he got thrown out of an Airbnb? Were you aware of that?
I was made aware of that.
Okay. And it was not uncommon, or well, digress. It was fairly common for Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, to dish other rappers and other individuals, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when I say dish, what does that mean?
He's disrespecting.
Disrespecting, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, before Julio Foolio or Charles Jones came to Tampa, he was dishing Tampa and a lot of the residents of Tampa, did he not?
Never heard that before.
You don't recall that? Okay.
No.
And there were, so it's clear, there was you allege that there is a post of Bill Belichick and, I just drew a
Tom
blank.
Brady.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tom Brady. There's no connection of that post to Davion Murphy, correct? You have any way to connect that to Davion Murphy in any way?
Correct.
And if I asked you this before, I apologize, but you were not able to locate any social media information on Davion Murphy, correct?
I was not.
And on the post that you did identify, a lot of people, in fact, were celebrating the death of Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, were they not?
Yes.
And a rough number, I know you didn't count them, but a rough number of posts that you saw.
Hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yes.
Maybe thousands?
My answer was hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yes.
All right, we'll leave it at hundreds.
Yes.
And did those come from, do you know what areas they came from? Did they come from Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando?
No idea.
You can't tell where they came from?
No, sir.
So that the record is clear, that obviously you've testified that Darius Beal Fizzle was murdered shortly after the death of Charles Jones, correct?
5 days after.
Right. June 28th, and the state allegations are that Julio Foolio or Charles Jones died on June 23rd, correct? 2024.
Yes.
So the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are clear. Davion Murphy has no involvement whatsoever with the death of Darius Beals, correct?
It's an ongoing investigation. I don't know the answer to that.
All right. You have a moment, Your Honor?
Yep.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Wise, any questions? Ms. Finkelstein, any questions?
Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
Just got a few questions for you, mostly in relation to Sean Gathright.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of us, and hard to keep track probably. Let me ask you, I know you said you were in homicide, moved to gang, and I believe it was yesterday you talked about your main assignment at this time is the 21st Street gang
Yes,
and rack chasing family?
correct.
Which I wrote down as rat chasing, but I guess you said R-A-C-K?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But part of your work in the gang unit and with the 12 of you that are assigned, right, is to have a general knowledge of all the gangs.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, so what we heard yesterday was that you knew information regarding 1200,
Yes,
is that correct? ATK
correct.
and 6 Block?
Yes,
And those are kind of the main focus of this case, right?
yes, ma'am.
We also saw that at the time of the homicide or predating or the day of, you were monitoring social media as it related to those 3 gangs that I just mentioned, 1200, ATK, and 6 Block.
Along with others, yes.
But the screenshot or the screen recording we saw was dealing with those 3, right?
Yes.
As it relates to this case.
Yes, ma'am.
What's relevant here, okay. From the knowledge that you have of your gangs that you're assigned to, the other gangs in Jacksonville that you have general knowledge, and then more specifically 1200, ATK, and 6 Block, you'd never heard the name of Sean Gathright before, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you weren't monitoring his social media?
I was unaware of it.
Don't know his screen name,
Correct.
anything like that on X or Twitter or whatever we saw yesterday?
Right.
At some point when this investigation gets started, you then do learn the name of Sean Gathright, right?
Yes.
And I think we had heard a little bit yesterday and today, at some point, he's arrested.
Yes.
You were not directly involved in his arrest, correct?
Correct.
Physically arrest him.
Right.
You also personally did not stop his vehicle or were involved in the stop or search of his vehicle at any point in time.
I was not part of that.
And we heard about him being brought into the station. You didn't personally take any statements or interview him, correct?
Correct.
We also heard about a search warrant. I believe that you authored or co-authored the application for a search warrant to his mother's home in Jacksonville. Is that right?
Detective Parker did. He was the affiant of it.
Okay.
I was present at the very beginning portion of it being executed, but I left shortly after.
And for the jury's knowledge, the affiant is the person who signs or kind of swears under oath to why they want that
The
warrant.
affiant is just another word to say the person that authored or wrote the search warrant.
But you were aware of it and the reason for that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe that you indicated you weren't personally involved in the search of the home, but you did have contact with his mother. You at some point were at the home.
Yes.
No issues there, right?
Correct.
You served the search warrant, or they did, no problems.
I agree.
And from what you know, although you personally didn't arrest Mr. Gathright, you obviously have a lot of knowledge about the goings-on in this case, right?
For the most part.
You were kept up to speed on a lot of stuff. You weren't aware of any issues arresting him? Like taking him into custody?
Right.
We heard something about having to, have standoffs and press conferences to get people arrested. Mr. Gathright was not one of those people.
Right.
No extensive searches or law enforcement resources in Jacksonville that you're aware of to locate him?
No, ma'am.
And then we touched on, or you were asked about, or I'm going to touch on, the interview that was brought up with Rashad Murphy, where you testified on direct and cross that at some point in that interview, Rashad Murphy at some point admits to you to being an acquaintance of Sean Gathright. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this was sometime into the interview, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, he was not forthcoming with you to start,
Correct.
provided what I believe you stated in your opinion was either false or misleading information.
Yes.
You confronted him at some point in the interview with I don't know if it was the full video or a still shot of a camera from Mr.Gathright's mom's home, correct?
Verbally, I made him aware of it. I didn't have anything to show him at that point.
Okay, so you told him that you had something showing him getting dropped off in an Uber.
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge about the investigation and what you know is, that was just on that one date, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Gathright wasn't even in Jacksonville.
In reference to that video being captured, I
Correct.
don't know.
He wasn't one of the ones alleged to have driven in the Uber that day.
He's not captured in that video.
Later, we just heard about the arrest and interview of Davion Murphy, correct?
Yes.
And would you again, I believe you kind of categorized that he was cooperative, maybe not as forthcoming with you,
Yes.
correct? You stated just now on cross, with Mr. Davion Murphy's attorney, that there was, when Mr. Gathright's name was brought up, it was in reference to press conference, because this is 6 months later, right?
Yes.
This interview's 6 months and change after this homicide.
Right.
So there had been press conferences. Mr. Gathright had been in custody for quite some time.
Yes.
That's brought up in your interview with Davion Murphy, correct?
Yes.
And he was aware of those press conferences or had seen coverage of some point?
Yes.
You indicated on cross just now that he tells you during that interview that he had hung out with Mr. Gathright.
He doesn't identify him as Gathright, but yes.
Okay, how does that come about in that interview?
We're referencing the publicized press conferences. He acknowledges that he had seen them. During those press conferences, it's the images of Sean Gathright, Isaiah Chance, and Alicia Andrews having been taken into custody. And it's during that conversation referencing those 3 people that Davion acknowledges he knew the light-skinned person, which was Isaiah.
Okay, do you recall?
Or excuse me, correction, Sean Gathright.
And do you recall his exact word? I mean, do you have a transcript, or have you reviewed that interview before coming today?
I watched it yesterday. References him as the light-skinned fellow.
Okay, and what does he do? Does he say, yeah, do you show him something and he points him out, or how does that come about?
No, there was no images provided. It was just what we were discussing.
So let me ask you this. In that context, does he only admit to knowing the light-skinned person?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So do we take that to mean he denied or did not claim to know Mr. Chance? Is that how you took it at the time?
No, I'm trying to recall the conversation about Mr. Chance as it related to Sean, which is what you were asking. He referenced him as the light-skinned fellow.
Okay. But that was, when he says, when he's talking about, and he being Davion Murphy, is talking about that press conference and knowing who the light-skinned fellow is, does he ever say his name?
No.
And he's not on, he being Davion Murphy, sorry, is not on that video that you're aware of from the Uber at Mr. Gathright's house, correct?
Correct.
I'm gonna show you, maybe, what I believe is already in evidence, or is in evidence, as State's Exhibit 118, and this is D. You were shown this photo of the hand signs, is that right?
Yes.
I'm not gonna try and zoom it in because I'll screw it up, but, what we're seeing on the left and the right hand, you described as the gang sign or hand sign that is in relation to 1200, the gang 1200.
Correct.
And it appears that Mr. Davion Murphy is doing that sign on both hands?
Yep.
Is it the same sign on both hands?
Middle finger down, connected to the thumb, yes.
Okay, so that's my question. Can you show me on your hand? You're saying the middle finger?
My
to
middle
your
finger.
thumb? Okay. And that's on both hands, same thing?
Yes.
Okay. And that, in your knowledge, or to your knowledge, is the commonly used hand sign for the gang 1200?
Yes.
Is it important what fingers are being held up? Because there's like a 1 and a 2.
The middle finger is down and connected to the thumb.
So that's part of it. Middle
Yes.
finger down, okay. And then there's a 2 and a 1. Is that where we're getting the 1200 from?
That's what it shows. Yes.
And you would say that's commonly used among members of the 1200 gang?
Yes.
Does it reference any other gang that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Susan, may I have a moment? I have no further questions, Detective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Petridis?
Good afternoon, Detective. It is afternoon now.
All right.
Just a few questions for you. Going back to the Spaces chat, you listened to a decent amount of it. Would you consider the tenor of that like a normal back and forth, not really angry or yelling or anything?
Yeah, it seemed routine.
Okay. And you said you weren't aware of what bigger fish to fry meant, correct?
No.
And at some point during the Spaces chat, Mr. Jones indicates that he doesn't believe the rumors, I guess, that he mentioned about Mr. Chance, correct?
Yes.
And that's audible on the chat for everyone to hear.
Yes.
And now going to the Instagram post from June 23rd of Mr. Chance, you didn't, at the time, you couldn't find a specific relevance to the Charles Jones murder, correct?
During that, ask that again?
When you saw the post initially, you couldn't see a relevance to Charles Jones murder.
Right.
And we talked, he also had a post of Brady and Belichick, and Mr. Gonzalez talked to you about that, correct?
I believe the one posted to Isaiah's account was just Tom Brady.
Okay.
Or no, it was either just Tom Brady or just Bill Belichick, or yeah, one of the two.
And then he had a post about King Von, correct?
Yes,
And King Von was a rapper,
he was.
and he's deceased.
Correct.
But he died in Atlanta during an argument with some Atlanta rappers, correct?
I don't recall specifically where that happened, but that sounds right.
And on that one, he kind of did like a praise hands for King Von, correct?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I know you probably don't memorize everything that you've seen in this case, I understand. And then he makes a post of Tilly, correct? He actually makes 2 posts of Tilly back to back.
Yes, I remember that.
And I think it's because he didn't put the caption on one because they're a minute apart and they're the same picture.
Yep. Yes,
And he's made previous posts of Tilly.
quite a few.
So that wasn't a new thing for him.
Right.
And the caption said something about missing Tilly, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
And then he had a post where he said he loves his girlfriend.
I'd have to refresh my memory, but I know he had quite a few posts. That sounds right.
Okay. Do you remember the girlfriend post at all or no?
Ask that again?
To outside the
I'm
scope.
going to sustain the objection.
Okay. Judge, may I have a moment?
Yep. Okay, redirect.
Very briefly, Your Honor. Detective, you were asked when Mr. Snarty was asking you questions about Davion, about not knowing about his whereabouts. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you learn about his whereabouts specifically because he indicated those things while you were outside of the room during the course of your interview? Did he make statements about what he was doing or where he was during the course of y'all being out of the interview?
Yes, and he also told us to.
And how he essentially evaded capture from law enforcement.
He applauded himself for doing so.
You were also asked about the communication or the connection between Mr. Gathright and Mr. Murphy. Did Rashad Murphy indicate that he'd been to that residence at Sean Gathright's house on a number of occasions?
He did say that.
Was that in a particular point in discussing that surveillance footage with you?
Yes, he said if you go back and watch the video at Sean Gathright's house, I've been to his house many times.
When Mr. Gonzalez was asking you questions about whether it would, quote, be bad if Rashad was in Tampa on 6/23, were you ultimately able to get Rashad Murphy to admit that he in fact was in Tampa on June 23rd?
Yes.
Did you have an opportunity to review the contents of Darius Beal's cell phone extraction to include the photographs contained therein?
Yes.
So as you have testified here today about the GPS location data and the media, does that media include selfie photographs taken by Darius Beals?
Yes.
Were those selfie photographs taken and on that device from June 22nd to June 24th?
Within that scope, yes, there's quite a few selfie photos, selfie videos of Mr. Darius Beals.
And you could recognize the individual depicted in those selfies as Mr. Beals himself?
Yes.
So asked several times about whether Mr. Beals actually possessed that device, did you utilize those photos in some way to also confirm that in addition to the GPS?
Yes. As well as expounding the search beyond that to see who the primary possessor of the phone is over the course of the phone being turned on. It was always Darius Beals in those photos.
You were asked whether Rashad Murphy indicated to you that he used Mr. Beals' device. He was in Tampa with Fizzle, Mr. Beals, and that he used his phone. Is that right?
Yes.
The secondary phone that you've been asked about here today, the log from that device indicated what as it related to June 23rd of 2024?
That device is never turned on, used, or at all at any point during June 23rd, 2024.
So the only device with relevant data was the device that we have just discussed?
Yes.
And that is the device with the GPS, location information, and photographs?
Correct.
You also indicated on cross-examination that Rashad Murphy said he would not allow people to book an Airbnb in his name. Did he ultimately change that story during the course of your interview to indicate he did let people use his name to book an Airbnb?
Yes.
Lastly, you were asked specifically about the wording or phrasing that Mr. Rashad Murphy utilized during his interview, and did you confirm that the best evidence of what was said as to whether he entered or did not enter the Airbnb would be the recorded video interview itself?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state seeks to admit State's Exhibit 145.
Okay, any objection, Mr. Gonzalez?
What minute, Your Honor?
Correct. Correct.
No objection, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Sonardi?
No, Your Honor.
Yes, it's a portion of Rashad Murphy's interview when he was asked about going inside the residence.
And any objection, Ms. Finkelstein? Okay, it'll be admitted?
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Yes.
Oh, yes, Your Honor, may I please have the edited recording instruction?
Okay, and which defendants this apply to?
Rashad Murphy.
Okay, and again, members of the jury, this is a statement made by defendant Rashad Murphy after the offense in our case occurred, and it's admissible only against defendant Rashad Murphy. The statement is not admissible evidence against any of the co-defendants and should not be considered against any of the remaining co-defendants.
The edited recording instruction, because this is an excerpt of that, I apologize.
Yes, sorry. Also, members of the jury, you're about to view a video recording. The court instructs you that the recording has been edited to eliminate irrelevant portions that would not add to your understanding of the case. The fact that the recording has been edited should not concern you in any way and must not impact the way you view and consider the evidence.
Hold on. You ride down to Tampa with your friend Darius Beals, correct? In a dark gray car?
Yeah.
Was
So
it?
we were supposed to be going to Orlando, but we never went to Orlando.
But you went to Tampa instead.
Yeah, because that's what it
Was it-
we were supposed to go to Kissimmee, but we booked the
Rashad, was it in the morning,
Yeah, it was in the morning.
early in the morning?
Yeah.
If you had to guess, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, what time would you say?
Like 5,
Okay.
6.
Is that you leaving Jacksonville around 5-ish and then getting there around 8? Or getting in Tampa around 5 or 6?
When I got there, I checked it. I had went through the back, checked the BNB out, made sure everything was good. And then I just, I got in the car. I got the car with him. Like,
You're saying you went through the back door at the Airbnb?
When you specifically heard the statement from Mr. Rashad Murphy, did you reiterate to him, did he specifically go through the Airbnb and check the B&B out?
Yes.
I went through the back door.
Which is why you're not on camera.
You know what I'm saying? Went to the back door, knocked on it. They didn't pick up, they didn't even answer the door.
Well, then how'd you get in?
No, they was already outside parked, and the black truck was already out there.
So you drove to Tampa and then rode an Uber straight back?
So Dad had something else. He didn't want no parts. Like, whatever the fuck.
What did he end up doing?
I don't know, I think he stayed. He stayed and went back to Jacksonville. He said he got to go that way anyway, so I just rode with him.
Okay. So you get to Tampa in the morning, you go to the back door. I remember what time they leave in the Uber, so that was later in the afternoon. So what did you-
I just stayed in this one. I knocked on the back door.
Yes,
I
sir.
sat in the car with theirs. That's it, like, cause it's like a side. I sat in the car with theirs until it was like, you know what I'm saying? Anybody knew come to the door, but when they, like, I knocked them in the stitch when the car was coming out.
After defendant Rashad Murphy indicated to you that he went through the Airbnb to check it out, did he change that version of events when you confronted him about his absence on the ring camera? So he went to the back door to knock.
Yes, and the inconsistency with the time.
When you confronted him about the inconsistency of the Uber driver's arrival and his statement that he arrived between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m., did he change his statement about what he was doing?
He added another point. Yes, he then added that he was sitting in a car with Darius for a period of hours now.
Because to your knowledge, was the Uber driver present at the Airbnb at 8 a.m.?
Not to my knowledge.
Lastly, did Rashad Murphy at any time during the course of his interview give to you as a reason for continuing to lie to you the fact that he was cold or exhausted?
No, that was never said to me.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You're free to go.
Thank you.